Hello everyone, John here, your host on the Prepared Mind channel. Back at you. Now, something really important I want to talk about here to start this off. Have you ever noticed, if you were, say, a purveyor of sports in the, in the 70s, you watch Muhammad Ali, he talked trash the whole way. But when he finally got someone hurt, when he'd rattle and loosen them up, did he stand there and give them a chance to get back up? No, right? If you want to win a fight, if you want to get your point across, in other words, you've got to drive it home. And when you've got the enemy on the ropes, you just let them fucking have it. And that's what I'm going to do today. Alright, so let's identify a few things. Who am I? Who are we? We're preppers. Who is the enemy? Anybody that would want to kill us, tax us, and take all of our money, throw us in FEMA camps, right? Throw us to the wolves, right? Anybody who doesn't believe in freedom, in other words. Anybody who thinks the Constitution is an obstacle and not a protective barrier between abusive government and the people. So, now we know what sides we're talking about, right? We've got a political party that is 100% off the hook, stupid, and they don't like you. And we've got them on the ropes. Not everyone else, just me and you, just about understanding them. All right, so what have we got? I've been covering how the Democrats are turning everything into a situation that's going to require, mandate their people to come after us, anyone who loves freedom. And they'll go after anyone. I mean, anybody that isn't a dyed-in-the-wool communist, communocrat. They will. So they'll call a Republican a fascist. They'll call a fascist. They'll call constitutionalists fascists. They'll call us all tons of names. But name-calling is just the beginning. So the other day we had the president's spokesman. She got turned away from a Red Hen restaurant. Right? So, interestingly, today there were protesters gathering at a Red Hen restaurant in Lexington, back east. And there was a preacher, I guess, and then he had a spokesperson for him. And they were getting a crowd. Crowd was all stirred up. Apparently they had to close down the street. Very interesting, huh? One person got arrested. They took a bucket of chicken shit and threw it against the building. Either the window or the door, but it was against the restaurant. I think that person got arrested. It's fascinating how some rascally, right-wingers, anybody who's right of socialist communists, is a right-winger to those people. That's nothing compared to what the Democrat slime bags and douchebags do in Seattle and Montreal and all up and down both the West and the East Coast. They don't just throw shit. Right? What do? They beat cars. They beat people. They destroy public and private property. They break windows. They set fire to police cars. Right. One little bucket of chicken shit in a symbolic move of eat shit, you red hen, and they get thrown in jail. Anyways, the level of rancor, the level of just venomous hatred is rising on both sides. So I've got an article here. I'm going to cover it a little. They're not welcome anywhere, says Maxine Waters, Democrat giant idiot from the state of California. She's been competing for years and years with Nancy Pelosi over who is the most radical left-wing idiot, right? And neither of them want to lose. Neither of them want to quit. Anyways, Maxine Waters tells supporters to confront Trump officials. She's calling on her supporters to, confront officials and staffers in public amid widespread backlash, right, to the zero tolerance on illegal immigration. It's amazing. I don't think Maxine Waters is saying you need to go stand up to those Republicans for doing their job and putting away criminals and trying to stop criminal behavior, right? But it's amazing how the word illegal immigration to them, the word illegal just flies, as if we're trying to kill them or stop them from living in their own countries. No, go back to your own country. Right? I don't get to go to other countries and take all of their money and free services. So she says, quote, "Let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up." That's amazing. If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them you're not welcome anymore, anywhere. Now what's amazing is what they're doing is they're trying to bully. Remember how the little social justice warriors, the SJWs, the little snowflakes, they've been saying what? Stop being a bully. Stop using your meanness to hurt other people's feelings and make them behave a certain way. Blah, blah, blah. A bunch of whining pussies. But in true Hippocratic fashion, they want to do that to what? Anyone and everyone. And if you think that Maxine Waters means, well, just Trump, just his administration, just his staffers. No, when they say one Republican, they mean them all. And when they say get the ones at the top, everyone below them is fair game. This is not going to stop, in other words. So when I said, when you get someone in the ropes and you beat them, right, you knock them out, what I want to knock out of the park is what kind of threat you and I are under. Hell, the president too, and every other human being on the planet. But preppers, it's on. This is not just a warning shot across the bow. This is a declaration of war against anybody who likes freedom. Right? Trump has not been the super constitutional, pro-strict construction person that I would like him to be. Right? But even though he's far less concerned about strict constitutional interpretation as I am, he's being targeted by these wackos. Imagine what they would think of someone like you and me if they knew who we were, what we were thinking, what we were saying, and what we were getting ready for. You bet your ass they'd come after you. So, right, Sarah Huckabee Sanders tweeted she was denied service. Right, the owner of the restaurant, Stephanie Wilkinson, later told the Washington Post that there are moments in time when people need to live their convictions. This appeared to be one. Isn't that just great? Oh, by the way, that's the owner of the Lexington, Virginia store, Red Hen. That's the same one that the protesters shut down today, and the police had to shut down the street, and someone got some chicken shit thrown on their restaurant, and that would be Stephanie Wilkinson. Right, where do we want to pick up at this here? Let me just turn the page. Please forgive my non-nimble fingers today. Mr. President, we will see you every day, every hour of the day, wherever you are, to let you know you cannot get away with this, Waters said over the weekend. History is not going to be kind to this administration, she said. But we want history to report that we stood up, that we pushed back, that we fought, that we did not consider ourselves victims to this president. Isn't that some tough talk from a nasty old hag? Once again, they want to deny service. They want to shout down. They want to belittle, shame, ridicule, and in all ways bully. Now, you take this from Maxine Waters, who's just a mouthpiece for Hillary Clinton and the Democratic National Committee. You know, what is she really saying? She's saying as much as she can get away with, knowing that the little communist bastards, the little pricks that are radicalized coming out of college, these Antifa-type punks that show up at at protests nationwide. They take it not one step further, not two steps. They hopscotch through the whole fucking maze to get to the grand prize. What do they want? Revolution. What do they want? A communist takeover. They don't care that the system's coming down. They don't care, right, that the economy is destroyed and that it's faltering along. They don't care that the nation's bankrupt. All they care about is getting their free stuff and taking it from you. They really don't have a fucking clue. But they just got their marching orders from, one of the biggest idiots on the planet, Maxine Waters. There's another one. Isn't her name Sheila Jackson Lee or something out of Texas? She's another idiot. What I want to just hammer home today, I want to knock it the fuck out, is the danger that is coming. I've been saying for the past couple weeks, summer's here, it's going to start, it's going to get hot, it's going to get stupid. As we get closer to the election, it's going to get very contentious. As people are getting arrested, as people are getting outed, as people resign, as the heat gets turned up politically on both sides, you've got to expect more shit, political shit that is, to be slung by the Democrats. There's going to be two things that occur, right? It's Republicans getting mad and Democrats getting mad and acting out violently. Now, what happened today in Lexington was quite interesting. That woman, for doing what she did to a high-level cabinet position member of the Trump administration, I don't think Sarah Huckabee Sanders said, I want you to go protest her restaurant and throw shit at it and shut down the street and scare people away. That's what happened. With Maxine Waters, she didn't say, I don't like that and appreciate it. She came out and said, you're not welcome anymore, anywhere. Quite interesting, the difference. So what type of reaction do you think the more radical Democrats are going to do? Yeah, it's going to get crazy stupid. Now, Ron DeSantis, Republican from Florida, congressman, said that Maxine Waters was inciting people. Right? Says she is the Pied Piper for the unhinged left. Now, that's actually, to me, it's pretty fucking funny. I kind of like the way that sounds. Pied Piper for the unhinged left. I wish I had made that shit up. Let's see. Maxine Waters' call for the people to harass Trump staffers as a way of retaliation against the president's crossed a clear line. All right. He says that Waters' remarks were inciting people to violence, and he appeared on Fox News and added that he and his colleagues are working to censor her in the House and ask for her resignation. She won't resign over that. That was a career enhancement. Okay. Trump officials won't be able to go to a restaurant now, he says, or stop at a gas station, and that people are going to turn on them. I think the hard left, meaning communists, in this country is just totally off the rails, says DeSantis. Right? Maxine Waters is really the Pied Piper. Now, what's interesting is his remarks about them on the news are every bit, if not more, incendiary to the Democrats than what Maxine said to the Democrats about they're not welcome anymore, anywhere. You see, let's not forget, let's back the truck up, right, and step out and talk to some protesters, some social justice warriors, some feminists, some extreme homosexual agenda type people. If you talk to them and anything you say they disagree with, it becomes what's known as a microaggression. It's a verbal assault that they consider every bit as real as a punch to the head. To think or say something contrary to the opinion of Democrats is to assault them. So Ron DeSantis thinks he's practicing free speech and that he's speaking to Republicans, he's trying to speak to moderates, he's trying to speak rationally. When he says, I think the hard left in the country is totally off the rails, that is an insult extraordinaire to Democrats, these little communist pricks. And I don't care. if they're insulted by me. But he's on national news. He's a public figure, much bigger than me. And that is a serious, that's not a microaggression to these little pricks. That's a macroaggression. And that's the problem. See, Maxine Waters can go into a court and say, oh no, I didn't mean anything violent. I'm not inciting violence. But if you look at the audience she's speaking to, these little Democrat pricks, these little social communist Marxist cocksuckers, did I say that right? They take any insult as worse than being physically assaulted, because it's assaulting their persona, their insides, their soul, their self-esteem, their self-respect, their education, their big massive educations. All of these communists think they're fucking brilliant because they stepped onto a college campus. All right. Let's see what else this guy said. While Waters has denied calling for violence, but rather resistance, DeSantis said that it was irresponsible, right? That's true, right? She's calling for resistance. But what does resistance mean to a communist? What does it mean to these people that have had it with this concept of people earning money and keeping their own earnings? Right? These communist types, these people believe that everything should be gathered and put in a big pot and equally just split up. I mean, can't you see the wisdom behind that? So the point is that we're going to have some serious shit coming down this summer. I have now heard reports, and I can't say how accurate they are, but I will once they happen. But as early as July 4th, Independence Day, right, the Declaration of Independence, we can expect some big trouble from left-wing protesters. Now, what's fabulous, what's famous about the Declaration of Independence, which was written for people who think like we do, that freedom is a good thing. It was used by many, many political leaders in their manifestos, in their condemnation of the ruling elite that they didn't like. And I'll give you one, and you're going to say no fucking way. And the answer is yes fucking way. Ho Chi Minh, Vietnamese communist, right, from what era? The Vietnam War era, right, used the Declaration of Independence as his inspiration for his communist revolution. So don't be surprised if these little communist bastards want to cause trouble on our Independence Day in our nation and use that beautifully written document, the Declaration of Independence, as fuel, as fodder, as support for their belief systems. Right? This doesn't have to wait. This doesn't have to wait until 1 month before the election or 1 week before the election. This can start now. And it's gonna start now. It's already started. And I'm really frankly surprised at the Republican response in Lexington. I'm glad they went out and protested. That speaks volumes about how pissed off, right, Republicans are. And it speaks volumes, right, that Democrats are willing to come out and fight. We're going to end up not with a civil war. We're going to end up with a partisan war. A partisan war. What portion or what part of will the government play in that? Will they be able to control it? I don't know. You know, I got to put some more thought to this, and I'm going to ask you to put more thought as well. Can we expect in blue states and blue cities, which is most major metropolises, can we expect to see purge-type events where radicalized groups go out and attack people on lists? Now, I thought about this. I thought, well, John, that kind of puts you in danger there, buddy. Right? You just happen to have a face on YouTube, even though I'm not a political channel. We just discuss things political. And then I thought about Anthony Bourdain, the TV personality and cook who supposedly committed suicide. A lot of people believe it was a conspiracy. So what I have to say is, if he committed suicide, that's one story. But if he was murdered, do you think the murderers could have got as close to him as they did if he had been armed? Now, I know he was in France, and in France, they like to surrender. That's the first thing they like to do, is stand up and surrender. Just kidding. Oh, God, I love stereotypes. They're so ridiculously funny. Because they're just funny. Anyways, if he had a gun, would he possibly be alive? Yes. Right? I have a gun. You have a gun. We should all, as preppers, have a means of self-defense. Not just food, water, shelter, clothing, or medicine. You've got to have the self-defense. Now, you could say, well, if the CIA or Mossad, right, or someone wants to just come in and do a hit, oh, they'll just kill you. Well, sure. Right? If they just want to roll up outside your house and start shooting from the street. But if they want to make it look like a suicide, right, they can't do that. Right? They've got to get you. And if you've got a gun, they're going to think twice before they kick down that door. Seth Rich, Democrat. He rolled over on the Democratic National Party and Hillary, and that's why he was ostensibly rubbed out. You think that if he had a gun, things could have come out differently for him? You bet. Do you think, for a second, if we keep asking this question, carry it to the next logical conclusion, do you think that if little communist pricks know that you have a means of self-defense, even in greater numbers, do you think they're going to show up at your house or in your neighborhood and start causing trouble? Well, if they feel brave enough to try that, I imagine it's going to take one neighborhood where they start going through and trying to be tough people, and they get shot at and shot up and gunned down. They're going to learn that lesson really, really quick. Now, a lot of people might think, well, they're college educated, they're pretty smart, they can use deductive and inductive reasoning, they probably have some philosophy background. Actually, they don't. They are not taught any of those things. They're not taught how to think. They're not taught real philosophy. They are indoctrinated and taught to believe the most asinine things. If they had an ounce of intelligence in them, do you think they could possibly believe that Marx's system, communism, could be a success? Right. It doesn't make a lick of fucking sense. These are the dumbest people among us who think they're the smartest among us. And what they've got on their side is a willingness to follow through with their sick mission, right? Which is communist revolution. And they're stupid enough to believe that they can probably get away with it and win. So that puts you and me in the, shall we say, just the not very welcome position of knowing that if they try something with America in general, they're not going to be successful, but there are going to be people who are victimized by them. But how many times, how many of these shootings, these beatings, how many of these riots before Republicans and freedom-minded people start pushing back, or rather shooting back? That's the partisan war I'm talking about. It's not a civil war. There's not a fight over who's going to run the government. You can't have that when you have voting. I guess maybe you can get that if the voting is all fraudulent, which the Democrats are the ones who are on the fraudulent side. And that's been proven since Kennedy, right? No need to piss on Kennedy's grave today. Let's move forward in time 60 years. That's where we're at. That is exactly where we're at. We've got a partisan war coming. You need to be prepared. And I think it's going to go hot fast. If you think these Republicans going out and protesting is a big deal, wait till you see what the Democrats are going to start doing. They are going to target Republican businesses. They're going to target Trump supporters. They're going to remember, literally, who had Trump signs in their yards. They're going to make notes. If you think they don't have access to political roles, you bet they do. The government keeps all of this stuff on file. Who's a Republican, who's a Democrat. That way they can mail the right ballots to the right people. Right, especially for primary voting. You think there's not Democrats in those offices that's going to pull lists of people? Now, even if you live in a so-called Republican city, where it's what, 52%, 55%, 60% Republican, and the rest Democrat, really, what's the difference between 40,000 screaming Democrats and 48,000 screaming Democrats? The only difference is, right, there's going to be another 2 inches of shit in the street from where they stomp down the road. That's the only difference. They don't care if they're a barely minority or a larger minority. They just need to be radicalized and they need to be assembled or organized. And they're going to do it. They're going to do it. In a way, I want to see this happen because I want these people exposed for who they are, what they believe, so that we know who the enemies are. See, right now, America, I don't think I understand it, but I don't think America understands how sick in the head Democrats are. I don't think they really get it. A big percentage of them. They don't understand that they're murderous, that they're willing to do the most radical evil things, that they accuse Republicans and hicks and country folk, right? They accuse us of all those things. You know, I'm not going to tell you to do what Maxine Waters says. I'm not going to tell you to, right, go up and find these people, right? Get out, create a crowd, push back on them. I'm not going to tell you any of those things. I'm going to tell you, take cover when you see these clowns. Protect yourself, protect your families. It's going to get crazy. It's going to get crazy fast. It's going to be crazy all summer long. It's interesting how the talk and discussion about FEMA camps has woken up in the last couple of days. You know, I just kind of felt that one coming a few days ago when I did that. And I don't take any of this lightly. I've been a prepper my whole life. Seriously, since Y2K. And ultra seriously since the collapse in 08. Right? So get yourself ready. Send this video link to friends. If you want things explained, send them back over to this channel. If you're at Patreon, I want to thank you for supporting us. If you're watching this video, you must be at Patreon because you're the only guy seeing it. But tell friends, you know, whoever that is they like to listen to, get on board and get their ass covered. The police are not going to have time to protect us. They're not. They're going to be busy covering their own ass. Remember, whose cars get burned in a riot? Police cars. And police don't stand around and wait for these crowds of lunatic idiots to overrun them and beat them to death. That could be happening as well. So, chance favors the prepared mind. Have you been thinking about this stuff? Right? Are you prepared? All right, guys, I'll talk to you tomorrow.